My name is Annie of Esther and Eileen, and this is a tutorial to show you how I do the welt technique for this sweater so that you can get this cool raised effect across the back shoulder. For this technique, I like to use a needle that's a few sizes smaller than what I'm using for my project. So in this case, I think I sized down about 4 needle sizes, but 2 needle sizes smaller should be just fine. On my little swatch here, I've cast on a few stitches using the cable cast on method. Then I've worked the first 3 rows of my pattern, ending on a purl row on the wrong side. To get started with my welt, I'm going to take my project here and I'm going to flip it upside down so that I can see the wrong side row, and my cast on edge is at the top. Now I want to go and identify the purl bumps associated with the cast on edge. So you can see here is my cast on edge. The stitch comes up, here's the purl bump, and then back down. The next stitch comes up, there's the purl bump, and then back down. So starting at the rightmost side, I'm going to find that first purl bump, which is right here. It's always that loosey-goosey one, and I'm going to enter it from top to bottom, just like that. Then I'm going to find the next purl bump, which is right here, and I'm going to enter that stitch from top to bottom. Here's the third one, and I just keep on going down the line until I have the same number of stitches on my little needle as I have on my working needle. So I'll meet you at the other end. Okay, I'm at the other end. I think I have enough, but I'm gonna just double check. I know I have 20 stitches on my working needle, and then I have 5, 10, 15. I only have 19 on this smaller needle. So I'm gonna come in here. Doesn't totally matter which one I grab. I think that's the purl bump. Who knows? But it's 1 stitch, and it doesn't, knitting is forgiving like that. So now I have 20 stitches on my working needle and 20 stitches on this extra needle. Now we're ready to get going on this welt. So to get started, I'm going to take my working yarn and put it between these 2 needles. This is my tiny little nub of a tail. And then I'm going to pinch the 2 needles together so that I can roughly see that these stitches get lined up. And we're essentially going to knit these 2 stitches together and then the next 2 stitches together, one from the front needle and one from the back needle. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to insert into the front needle, into the back needle. I'm going to wrap my yarn tail around. I'm going to wrap the working yarn around and then pull it through both of those stitches, and then both of those come off the needle, one from the front and one from the back. Then I'm ready to knit stitch number 2 through both the front needle and the back needle. I'm typically a continental knitter, but with this method, I find it's much easier just to hold my yarn in my right hand. I feel like I get more control that way, but I will certainly show you continental in just a moment, and we'll fumble through it. Okay, so I'm going to move my working yarn to my left hand. I'm going to insert into the front needle, stitch on the back needle, wrap my yarn, and then make sure to take the stitches off the front and the back needle. And I keep working all the way to the end And fingers crossed we counted correctly and we end up with the same amount of stitches on the front as on the back. Okay, here we are at the end, and I can see that we counted correctly, and our welt has turned out just perfectly. Get these last stitches off the left-hand needles, and I'll show you what this looks like. So here you can see that lovely little welt that we've just created, some added texture to our knitting. And if we turn around and look at the back side, here you can see those are those 2 stitches that we knit together every single time. And we're all ready to start purling on our next row of the pattern. So you can purl all the way across this row just as normal. And then for the sweater pattern that I have, once it comes time to pick up the right and left shoulders, you'll do so along this cable cast on edge. And then you'll insert your needle, pick up and knit into that little space there, and pick up your stitches from right to left to start the shoulders. I hope you all found this tutorial helpful and are feeling more confident about doing a welt. Thanks for watching.